Hello, everyone, and welcome into the WST post-game reaction. My name is Connor Hrabchak. In a moment, I'm going to be joined by Michael Remis, and together we're going to be breaking down the Jets' 4-1 loss to the Anaheim Ducks. It's the Jets' third straight loss. They're 3 games into this 6-game West Coast road trip, and they've lost all 3. They've only scored 2 goals on the trip. Lots to take away from this one as the Anaheim Ducks win their 7th straight game. They beat Vegas the night before in overtime, then came back home and beat the Winnipeg Jets on this night 4-1. So impressive stuff from the Anaheim Ducks, but obviously the focus on this postgame will be the Winnipeg Jets. Let's bring him in, Michael Remis. Remis, another tough outing for the Winnipeg Jets and looked a lot like the San Jose game, going up against a young, fun, and exciting team that was playing up tempo. What's kind of your initial reaction / takeaway as we sit here on the WST postgame reaction after that loss?
Yeah, my initial takeaway is, man, the California road trip got tough. Again, it was, it was that way in the, mid 2000s with when the Kings were winning cups, the Ducks were perennial playoff contenders, and same with the Sharks as well. And the Winnipeg Jets just scored a total of 2 goals in their last 3 games in California. Tough, very tough offensively for the Jets, but credit to these teams. The Ducks, I think, look stronger than the Sharks. I made a joke that, we could just take Friday's post game and sub out Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith for Leo Carlson and Cutter Gauthier. But, they also have Beckett Seneca at an incredible game, and Jackson Lacombe got the big contract this offseason. So, I can sit here and dump on the Jets play a lot, but I think you have to be really impressed by the Ducks, who just won their 7th game in a row.
Absolutely. And Leo Carlson, you brought him up. I was so impressed with how he played on this night. Jackson Lacombe was another one. Lacombe got the tough matchup for the Jets. He got the Scheifele line. He got the Perfetti line. And we'll talk about Perfetti, who made his season debut as well. But those players met the moment. And they absolutely, we talked about it on WST Sunday Live this morning. We previewed this game. We said the Ducks were good. We said that they'd come in winning 6 straight, beating the Devils and the Ducks, or not the Ducks, the Devils and the Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights the night before, and all of these good teams, and they came as advertised. Dynamite off the rush, all of these young, fun, and exciting players getting up in the rush, playing with tempo, and the Jets just couldn't match their speed. And there were moments in this game where the Jets looked good. They had opportunities with power plays, but just couldn't convert and couldn't get into this game. And when they did get chances, Dostal, who didn't play the front end of the back-to-back, actually played the back end of the back-to-back for Anaheim, gave them a quality start in my mind as well. So Anaheim, you are what your record says you are, or whatever the cliche is. They're 11-3-1 now to start this season. They won 7 straight games. Like I said, a lot of those against quality opponents. They're legit. Don't want to take anything away from them. But obviously, this is the Winnipeg Sports Talk channel. We're going to focus on the Jets. And Remo, where this one starts for me, and it's kind of a continuation from Friday's game, is the turnovers and the inability to match speed in the neutral zone. And those two things do not mix well together whatsoever. The Jets turned the puck over a lot tonight. And when you're turning the puck over in the neutral zone and there's Carlson and Gauthier and Seneca flying down 3-on-2, 2-on-1, so many odd man rushes tonight, that's not a recipe for success. And that's not something we've seen out of the Jets over the past number of years.
Yeah, I think that was the most surprising thing. The Ducks came out with speed early. The Jets really couldn't match, and maybe at times a bit too slow with their decision making, and Anaheim was able to take advantage. The biggest, point for me there is on that third goal. So many chances to get the puck out, and the Jets just weren't able to be quick enough, and the Ducks pounced. And they some of these guys have great shots. Notably, Cutter Gauthier had a great night, and the Jets, I thought they had about 5 minutes there after they scored from Kyle Connor where they were going toe-to-toe, and the Ducks scored again and made it 3-1, and that was kind of the game. But the Ducks came out very strong. Did not look like a team that played last night in Vegas, that you said, and the Jets, had the day off after playing San Jose Friday. And I thought they looked slow, and the Ducks very fast. You saw their speed. And the power play scored as well, and the Jets power play, again, 1 for 17. Or 1 for the last 17. 2 goals in the last 3 games. That's not going to get it done. We can talk about defense all you want. I think but both can be true that they're giving up too many odd man rushes. Eric Comrie I thought he was solid,
Hmm.
and then he was solid, and there's only so much he can do there.
Yeah.
But it was certainly a tough one. I haven't heard Scott Arniel what he had to say after this one. There was some technical difficulties on the Jets live stream, but I'm curious what he'll have to say after this as they get ready for Vancouver, who just lost in overtime to Colorado on Tuesday.
Yeah, and you and Hustler will have those comments covered. The Jets will have the media availability up later tonight, and you guys will have that covered tomorrow right here on the WST channel at 1 o'clock. But just for the podcast listeners, some of the numbers I have up here: Ducks win 4-1. Shots on goal were in the Jets' favor, 24-21. But again, the Ducks 21 shots, but they generated more scoring chances, more expected goals, and the power play 2 for 4 for Anaheim. 0 for 4 for the Winnipeg Jets. And to me, that's, if you're looking away from the defense and the turnovers and all of those things, that's probably the biggest, differentiating factor between these two teams in this game was the Ducks' ability to score on their power plays rather easily and with high danger looks and with talented players, and the Jets' inability to really generate much at all on their power plays. And let's just kind of run through some of the goals here that we saw from the Anaheim Ducks and some of the breakdowns as we take a look at the NHL Edge goal visualizer. This is that third goal that you mentioned, Remo, where Mark Scheifele kind of has the puck on the wall. He's looking to make a play to the middle. The puck gets poked off his stick. That's Cutter Gauthier, fires it low, and then Beckett Seneca gets his second of the game, crashing to the net, beating Dylan DeMello to the front of the net. And like you said, Eric Comrie, there were multiple times in this game where he made the first save, and that second save, Seneca beats DeMello to that puck right in front of the net, right? And where this all starts and where our post game started tonight was with the turnovers. And this starts on the wall. Mark Scheifele has that puck, gives it away. McTavish to Gauthier to Seneca. And the Ducks then take a 3-1 lead. And at the time, that kind of felt like the dagger. The Jets weren't generating much at all offensively. And then if we go down here to their fourth goal, this one was on the power play. Leo Carlsson, his second of the game. Carlsson and Seneca, the goal scorers for Anaheim tonight, both of them getting 2. But again, Carlsson, that's his 10th goal of the season. He is absolutely red hot right now. Like I said, he scored 2 tonight, and he's the kind of player that really has it all. 6'3", great skater, and in the middle of the ice like this on the power play, fires a one-timer past Eric Comrie. And you could talk about the Jets' penalty kill as well. They haven't been they've been great so far this season coming into this game. 2 for 4 tonight. Is that more Anaheim, exposing maybe some of the penalty killing deficiencies? But either way, the Jets not good enough in the turnover department, at least defensively breaking out of their own zone, something that they wanted to fix coming out of that San Jose game, and it doesn't look like they were able to do that on this night. Remis, there was a season debut made for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Cole Perfetti missing 13, 14 games with a high ankle sprain, making his season debut tonight. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of rust. We talked about this Tuesdays when Adam Lowry came back into the lineup, but what did you think of Cole Perfetti in his first game of the season, accounting for the rust that's kind of expected for a player making their season debut?
Yeah, I think when, you hear, oh, Adam Lowry's coming back, oh, Cole Perfetti's coming back, you think that they're going to have, immediate impact, but maybe that's asking a bit too much from these guys. We talked about Adam Lowry's struggles in his first game, and his game's been building since he returned. Cole Perfetti, I think overall it was okay, but he mentioned just during that intermission, maybe processing the game at NHL speed a bit different than practicing, and you saw that on Jonathan Taves giving him a tap-in goal. Thought there was a 2-on-1 where he tries to make a pass and whiffed on it. I know you posted his numbers, individual numbers for shot attempts and shots on goal when he's on the ice, and they ended up being pretty strong. Unfortunately, the team lost and they didn't score any goals. So I imagine Perfetti will improve as they scored 1 goal, but he wasn't a factor in those. I imagine his game will improve, and for a team that's had trouble scoring here, it's definitely a welcome addition. So it was a nice debut and room for improvement.
Yes, absolutely. And how I would characterize Perfetti's debut, kind of piggybacking off of what you said and that Taves tap in that he gave him late in the first period, there were, that line had possessions. They had scoring chances. They were getting to the net. They were getting the chances, but they didn't have the finish. And I have confidence that Cole Perfetti will have the finish going forward. That's maybe where the rust played in for me. There was a 2-on-1 later in the game as well, where it was Perfetti and Nemesnikov on a 2-on-1. Perfetti usually is money with those, kind of dragging the defender to him and sliding the puck over. And he got caught. Kind of just made a hope play to the side of the net. Dostal easily just kind of shoveled it to the corner, things like that. And you mentioned that first period chance, Remis. Cole Perfetti was actually interviewed by Dan Robertson on TSN in between the first intermission and kind of just said he wasn't even expecting that pass. He didn't know that Jonathan Toews was going to throw that pass. It ended up right on his tape, whiffed on it, had a wide open net, and things like that is where the rust came in for me. Cole Perfetti's not, a Kyle Connor type skater anyways, so I wasn't expecting, this big reduction in speed from his game. I thought he moved well. I thought he was in good spots. I thought he stole a number of pucks, especially in the first period, which is just like classic Cole Perfetti being in the right spot and stealing pucks. And then it's getting to those areas, stealing those pucks, and then what do you do from that next? And that's where I think the rust played in for Cole Perfetti in finishing those chances that the line was generating. You mentioned the numbers that I posted there. With Cole Perfetti on the ice for about 13 and a half 5-on-5 minutes tonight, the Jets led in shots on goal 7-1, high danger chances 5-2, expected goals percentage near 60%. Perfetti had 6 shot attempts himself, 4 of which were scoring chances, so again, I thought he was getting into the right spots. You saw that in the possession numbers, 7-1 shots on goal with Perfetti on the ice, but it was the finish that was maybe lacking a little bit for me. Remis, another thing that we've talked a lot about, a number of struggles tonight for the Winnipeg Jets, but you brought it up earlier on, the power play. They went 0 for 4 tonight, and they're now 1 for their last 17 as they're going through a bit of a slump here. Obviously, Cole Perfetti's coming back onto that unit. It's just his first game on that unit. But what do you think's maybe going wrong with the power play right now, as the number 1 unit in the league last year is going through a bit of a slide here, 1 for their last 17?
I thought tonight they just had trouble getting it set up. Like they didn't really have control. And they'd finally be like 30 seconds left. Say, okay, now you're getting set up and getting a couple chances. And the chances that they did get, it was like a Pionk shot from the point or more. So you're not seeing any really high danger activities. So I don't know. It's tough to say, Connor, when I feel like they couldn't really gain the zone and get it set up in this game tonight. I'm not sure what you thought about that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like the entry has been money for the Jets the past number of years, and and especially last year when they were the number 1 unit in the NHL, and it just hasn't been as crisp getting into the zone, at least through this mini 1 for 17 slide. And what I've seen is, yeah, I agree with you. When they're finally getting set up, when you can finally kind of breathe a sigh of relief, there's 30 seconds, there's 20 seconds left in the power play, and you're only getting a chance or two at that point. And that goes to the entry for me. And the entry I don't really have worries about. I think they'll be able to get into the zone a lot cleaner with Cole Perfetti back and that added playmaking element on the entry. But yeah, I mean, more pucks to the net is never a bad thing. And there was a time, I think it was the third period, or maybe it was late second period, where they had a power play and it was a big one. Time of the game, you're down a couple of goals. You haven't scored many goals on this road trip. And there was a lot of passing. And I know that this is very much just like a yelling at the TV type of take where it's like, just shoot the puck. But I will say, when your power play is in a bit of a slump, your scoring it is in a slump itself with only 2 goals in the last 9 periods on this road trip. I would have liked to see a lot of more pucks thrown to the net on some of these power plays. I thought the Jets, when they got set up, had opportunities and, maybe overpassed a little bit. That's not to say that they didn't generate a few chances and get shots on goal on those chances, but I just think they left some on the table. So for the power play, for me, it comes down to, maybe a little bit of overpassing, but where I look most importantly is the entry and how much time they're actually spending in the offensive zone against these teams. And it's not enough right now, especially against the Ducks, who came in with the 24th ranked penalty kill, Remo. That's a penalty kill that the Jets were hoping to take advantage of, I'm sure. Did their pre-scout, and 0 for 4 in this game. The power play definitely let them down and has let them down over the last number of games. Before we get to our hardest working Jet and standout stat of the game, Remo, is there anything else that you want to take away from tonight's game?
I mean, I know it's a losing streak for the Jets. As far as like, does this mean they're not going to be a playoff team or not? I'm not like jumping off the bridge here in terms of like, are we hitting the panic button on this 3-game losing streak? No, we're still waiting for Sandberg to come back. Perfetti, they need to be ready close to April. So I think disappointing. You lose 3, it's not a great look. But credit to the Ducks, credit to the Sharks for the way that they played, and these teams are very exciting, and I do like to stay up late and watch them, and giving me a reason to now with players like Macklin Celebrini, Leo Carlson, and man, Cutter Gauthier, the puck was flying off his stick tonight. So credit to those guys, and unfortunately the Jets were not able to match them in the last 2 games for an entertaining night when you're Connor, when you're starting a game at 9 p.m. and you're committed. A lot of the Jets fans are. I'm sure many of them are like, well, I got to wake up tomorrow and shut it off early. So I don't know. I'm not hitting the panic. Do I need to say that on this?
I think it's worth noting. I do, because there are fans that are definitely hitting the panic button, I'd say. I'm also not there yet. I need to see the 2025-26 Winnipeg Jets with Dylan Sandberg in the lineup before I really make any long-term conclusions about the roster. But it's definitely concerning that they've scored 2 goals in the last 9 periods against teams that, like it's not panic button time yet, but it is definitely a concern as we go through this road trip.
I think that, yes, when you're not getting the goals multiple from the top line, who is going to step up and be the one to score? Now Perfetti's back. That's huge. You want to see what him and Taves can do together. And that third line, solid, but not the most, goal positive. They're not like a huge scoring line. So we'll have to see. And, one big takeaway, you talk about, team speed. Maybe the Jets are missing Morgan Barron more than we thought. I've looked at, his edge stats. I've mentioned repeatedly. He's, one of the top 5 fastest forwards in the league, at least last year. He was. So, that he can bring. And, I think we're overlooking the Morgan Barron injury, as he's really was in the middle of a breakout. Well, I don't know, breakout, but he was having a great start to his season.
Absolutely, he was. And that was something that we were actually asked this morning on WST Sunday Live. And I agree with you, Remo. I think that while he's not the guy that's going to come in and save the offense or the power play, definitely team speed and the penalty killing and all of those things, and just the flat out effort from the 4th line too, or 3rd line, wherever Barron was playing, definitely an element that the Jets are missing right now. And yeah, like I said, the Anaheim Ducks doing their thing right now. I said earlier that they had won 7 straight games. Those wins coming against the Panthers, Red Wings, Devils, Panthers, Stars, Golden Knights, and now the Jets. 7 straight wins, most of which, the majority of which against quality opponents. So the Anaheim Ducks are making West Coast hockey fun and easy to stay up for at 11-3-1, leading the Pacific over the Vegas Golden Knights, who they beat the night before, playing their backup goalie, saved Dostal for the Jets game, and beat the Jets. Impressive stuff from the Anaheim Ducks right now. But let's get to our first segment of 2 on the WST post-game reaction. Let's get to this one first.
The hardest working Jet.
It's the hardest working Jet of the game. It's our hard hat. You can go with a player of the game. You can go with an unsung hero, whatever you want to do. The hardest working Jet from the game. If you're enjoying the video, drop your comment or drop your pick for hardest working Jet in the comments down below. And while you're down there, make sure you hit the like button as well. We would really appreciate it. It helps YouTube know that we're putting out some great content here at WST. Remo, I'll let you go first. Who's your hardest working Jet from tonight's 4-1 loss?
Man, this is a tough one in a game like this to single a player out as hardest working. But, you look at the middle 6 forwards, And, they were not on for any goals against in a game where they did lose. They gave up 4. The 5th one was disallowed on an offside, which actually, when they showed the replay at TSN, you could see right away. But, I'll go with Nemesnikov. Connor, thought he was solid on that second line. Just celebrated 800 games in the NHL on Friday. Congratulations to him. Kind of shot differential. He was one of the players in the positive. And you wonder on that second line, can he mesh with Taves and Perfetti and contribute some secondary scoring? So I will go with Nemesnikov for this one.
I think that's a good pick. I liked that line tonight. And like you said, we were intrigued by Taves Perfetti as the duo, but Nemesnikov is the guy that's kind of earned the first look as their third offensive driver on that line. So really intrigued by what that line can do. And Vlad Nemesnikov, I thought was one of the hardest working Jets on this night. I'm going to go with Alex Iafallo. And I was texting Remis throughout the game, and honestly, I think I could have taken any of the 3 players from that third line. I thought they were the hardest working line for the Winnipeg Jets. Any kind of momentum that the team did gain in the second period, or really, early in the third period, if they had any at all, I think came from the third line. And, it was a classic Adam Lowry line kind of game where they were, on the wall a lot, below the goal line a lot, but winning a lot of pucks back. You were hearing the boards rattle a ton when they were on the ice. And I think Alex Iafallo, of the 3, did maybe the best job of stealing pucks, getting his sticks in lanes on the penalty kill, but also on the forecheck and all of those things, and back checking super well. So I really liked how that line looked tonight. And it's kind of an underrated maybe footnote to the Perfetti return, is that they can now slide Iafallo down to that third line and get the third line that they were hoping for going into training camp, and that is Niederreiter, Lowry, Iafallo. I thought the first look at that line, especially against an up-tempo team like the Ducks, I was impressed, and I'm intrigued to see what they can do going forward. I hope they keep that line together a little bit to see if they can maybe improve on this game as well. But honestly, I think I could have taken any of those 3 guys. I think they were the 3 hardest working Jets, along with Nemesnikov and maybe Taves as well on that second line. But I'm going to go with Alex Iafallo as my hardest working Jet. And Remis, let's get to our next segment here. It's the standout stat of the game. So we like to dive into the numbers as well. We've handed out our hard hat. What's your standout stat from tonight's 4-1 loss?
Yeah, I've said it on this show. I mean, standout for me, you scored 2 goals in 3 games on this road trip. I could get more granular than that, but you're not going to win if you can't score. So
simple.
I think that's a concern. I think that would be a concern for me. We mentioned the power play as well. Those are concerns. So I want to get more specific. Maybe you could like to this game, but scoring been an issue here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the 1 for 17 slump on the power play. I think that's a bit of it's definitely an issue for this team right now. You bring up the goal scoring, and that's something that they're absolutely going to have to fix. But we already touched on the power play a little bit. So I'll go with, I talked about that third line, Iafallo, Lowry, and Niederreiter. My standout stat of the game is just going to be their 5-on-5 metrics. They played 8.5 minutes roughly at 5-on-5 tonight. 54% Corsi percentage, 56.5% expected goals. They weren't on for any goals against. 6-5 in scoring chances for, 2-1 in high danger chances for. And that's with starting 5 out of their 11 shifts in the defensive zone, and only 1 of their shifts started in the offensive zone. So they're not a line that's going to be getting the offensive zone starts. That's the Scheifele line, who had 9 offensive zone starts. This line, the Lowry line, is going to be starting in the neutral zone and the defensive zone almost every single time. And for them to come out ahead on most of those metrics and not get scored against an up-tempo, fast team like the Ducks, I think is really impressive for the first look we've had at that line so far this season. So that's going to be my standout stat of the game, the 5-on-5 metrics for the Lowry line. Very intrigued by what they can do moving forward, as they, last year they had Appleton on the right wing. Looks like it's going to be Alex Iafallo joining Niederreiter and Lowry this year. If you have a standout stat of the game, if something caught your eye, if the TSN broadcast mentioned anything that you noted down, drop it in the comments down below. We really appreciate it, and we always want to hear from you on the WST postgame reaction. Anything else, Remo? Yeah?
Sure. I mean, You talk about Cole Perfetti, third highest ice time among forwards, 17:59. Impressive for a guy in his first game. So, you could put that in there as well. Go down to the bottom. Chibrikov, 6:09. Thought he had a couple nice shifts, but the Jets, shortening their bench a little more than we've seen, being behind and needing goals.
For sure. And yeah, I didn't even take a look at the time on ice numbers, but the Nikita Chibrikov, 6 minutes. The team low and the team high, Kyle Connor, 22, the forward high, Kyle Connor, 22 minutes. The defenseman high, Josh Morrissey, 23:08 on the back end. And like you said, Cole Perfetti, 22 shifts, 17:59 time on ice. The power plays had a little bit to do with that as well. But yeah, definitely no restrictions for Cole Perfetti in his first game, playing over 17 minutes. He's healthy, he's good to go. He's going to play his normal workload and be out there on the power play and all of those things. So those were our standout stats. Maybe we'll have to add an S there. Multiple stats. We dropped a few there. Standout stats of the game.
Yeah, we should mention Kyle Connor hitting 600 career points. Was second fastest in franchise Jets Thrashers franchise history. Only 15 now away from Ilya Kovalchuk for third in the Winnipeg Jets franchise leaders. Scheifele in first now, 824. Wheeler, 812. So Kyle Connor got a ways to go, but congratulations to him on the milestone.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's quickly, maybe end off on some positive vibes. Let's show that goal that gave Kyle Connor his 600th
so
goal.
Nice.
It was nice. It was a nice goal. It was
so nice.
It was very nice. The top line for, one of the rare times got into the zone with possession tonight. And Mark Scheifele goes back to the point for Josh Morrissey, who fires one of his best passes of the season, in my opinion, finding Kyle Connor right on the tape in the middle of the slot. And Kyle Connor, we know he has a great release, catches and fires and beats Dostal to the blocker's side. But to me, this play is Josh Morrissey. And I know it's Kyle Connor's 600th career point, but Josh Morrissey, in my opinion, made this play happen, Remo, with the pass from the point there.
I mean, credit to Kyle Connor for getting to a spot where there's no one around him.
For sure.
And getting off the quick shot as well. I think that's why these guys worked together. And that was kind of like, it was 2-0 at the time. And the Jets really didn't need a lot to get set up and score. It happened very quickly. And you're like, oh, we got a game here, after it seemed like Anaheim was really outplaying them. And I thought the Jets gave it their best for the next 5 minutes. And then they got scored on that play we discussed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, agreed. The 5-minute stretch after the Kyle Connor goal, it felt like we were going to have a game. It really did. It was 2-1. The Jets were pressing. They were getting pucks deep and actually turning pucks over on the Ducks defense core, which is a rarity. I mean, Zellweger, Lacombe, and Trouba, and Minchikov, all of these players can move the puck well, and the Jets struggled to turn pucks over on them with their forecheck. But for that 5 to 7 minute stretch between Kyle Connor's goal and the Seneca goal, there was momentum there for the Winnipeg Jets. And then the Mark Scheifele giveaway on that third goal that I mentioned kind of felt like the dagger in the moment for sure. But the Winnipeg Jets dropped their third straight game on this California. Well, they wrapped up the California portion of the road trip now. On this West Coast road trip, they've lost 3 straight games. They're now going to take on the Vancouver Canucks on Tuesday night, then the Seattle Kraken on Thursday, and the Calgary Flames on Saturday. And that's the 6-game road trip. They've lost 3 straight. They're 0-3 on the trip so far. So they're going to look to get their first win of the trip Tuesday night against the Canucks. Like I said earlier, no Scott O'Neill comments after the game tonight, but the Jets will post his availability. So tune in tomorrow, Monday, 1 o'clock, Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Huss and Remo will have you covered with Scott O'Neill's comments, their thoughts on the game, and so much more. So right here on the WST channel, Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily, 1 o'clock tomorrow and every day throughout the week. It is Grey Cup week here, and we are hosting the Grey Cup here in Winnipeg. So lots of content coming this week. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss it all. For Michael Remis, I'm Connor Hrabchak. Thanks for listening to the WST post-game reaction. We'll catch you Tuesday after the Jets take on the Canucks.